Yeah, good morning, wherever you are from, because some people are not from Nigeria and they are joining us. Okay, I've already been introduced, Madidamola by name. And so I'll be handling us on another aspect of the early years education. You know, in Nigeria, we have ECCE, we also have ECCDE, and we have HighScope, we have Montessori, and then also we have EYFS. So all these, they fall under early childhood education. So I will be, thank you very much, Dr. Gukombi. Yes, because very soon the cap enters. So thank you also, Mommy Shonola, for for people who have gone ahead of me. So I'll be talking from the experiences of that I have regarding British curriculum, in which I'll be talking about, I'll be referring to the early years education under the British curriculum. So EYFS, so I'll be handling EYFS. So what is EYFS? Let's go to what EYFS is to start with. Okay, what is EYFS? EYFS simply means early years foundation stage. It's a framework that is created to, like the name, like the nomenclature implies or suggests, it is the framework, learning framework, pedagogical framework that helps establish a very solid foundation for children at the stage wherein they are still babies. And this framework, EYFS framework, covers 0 to 5 years old. Yes, that's what the class is. That is the age bracket it covers. And the major reason behind EYFS when it was being enacted in 2006, yes, that was what been enacted through the Child Care Act in the UK. So it was meant to um, it was built to ensure consistency, quality, as well as readiness for later schooling. Please mark that word, readiness for later schooling. So then, from there we go to why the EYFS framework was created. I've said some of them. The need for EYFS is to prepare the child's mind and muscles, for learning, to prepare the child's mind and muscles for learning before school starts proper. Please be marking those what I'm saying, before school starts proper. Okay, so number two need for of why UFS was being created was to promote learning through play. Learning through play. You see from what Mr. Gukombi said, he was mentioning activity learning, while Mrs. Shunola was also talking about play is children's work. So all of them, they have a common ground, even though they have different different methodologies as well as different learning materials. Like Montessori has fixed materials, EYFS does not have fixed materials, while also HighScope does not have fixed materials. So it's to promote learning through play instead of formal instruction. So now we have the next thing. EYFS, the spaces within a school whereby we have the EYFS classes or early years class, it's not part of the school. It's not part of a school. EYFS, the space for handling children between ages 0 to 5 is not called EYFS, it's called an EYFS setting. I want to mark that one as well. It's called an EYFS setting. So if you have a school and it's just you're just starting the school, or maybe a school only caters for children between 0 to 5 years old, it's not a school. It's called a setting. Okay, so why do you say it's not a school? You will know from the simple English that we speak that children between 0 to 5, we call it, say they're either in nursery or they are preschool, they are in the preschool. What's the meaning of preschool? Pre means before. So preschool means before school. So it means that under the EYFS philosophy, children between 0 to 5, they have not started school. They are inside the school environment, but that is not, it is called preschool. The word nursery is from it is being inducted from agricultural science. But nursery is a place whereby you put seeds to become seedlings. So it's not part of the farm. It's just a place somewhere around the farm before you now transfer the seedlings to where they will remain permanently. The same way also, where children will remain permanently is a school, but the place they're going to be before school is called the nursery or the preschool. So 0 to 5 EYFS are not truly schools. I'll throw more light very soon. So, and then they are there for them to nurture curiosity, to play and to discover instead of they don't compete at all for grades there. I'll throw more light on that one now as well because we have a very short time. So now let's see. When I said the other time that EYFS is section it's not called EYFS school, it's called EYFS setting. So what are the implications of this? Since EYFS is not a school, therefore, number one, no subject. They don't learn any subject in the EYFS. What they learn is what we call learning areas and development areas. And these are not subject at all. They look like subject, but they aren't subject. So since EYFS is not yet a school, then there will be no subject. That's common sense, I'm sure. So number two, if since EYFS is not a school, then there's no note copying. There's no note copying. So schools, so under EYFS, you don't burden children with notes to copy. What do they do there? They write, but they don't copy notes. They scribble, they color, they trace, they fill in gaps. Like say now, if under reading now, then they are trying to fill in the gaps for let's say art, and the art is missing. So and there are options there to fill, so they just fill in the writing because between ages 0 to 5, it's right no between ages 3 to 5 now. There are specific number of characters or symbols a child should write in a day. In a day, a child under 3 to 4, a child under 4 to 5, a child under 5 to 6, even if you jump to the primary, child under 6 to 7. Most schools burden children with note copying, thinking it's going to help them to stabilize their handwriting. It does not do that. Instead, it makes handwriting become worse. All right. Aha. So because the fewer the child knows is going to write, the more care you will give him to write more legibly. So they don't copy note there. Next thing is that there are no textbooks there under EYFS. What they have there are worksheets and workbooks to trace, to color, to fill in the gap. Okay, and to also do some other thing. Since UFS is not yet a school, there are all activities, sorry, there are no scoring. There are classwork, there are homework. When I mean homework, not the kind we give to children to write 1 to 50. That is punishment. No, that is punishment. Because the duration of assignment for a child under ages 0 to 2, they don't have any business at all with assignment. 2 to 3, they don't have any business at all with assignment. Assignment should start from 3 to 4, and when we say assignment, is not to go and write and die. And 4 to 5 as well. It's still coloring, scribbling. No parent will have to help a child to scribble or to color or to trace or to hold his hand to fill in the gap, because assignment must be age appropriate. But I'm not sure that's what we are doing mostly in our schools, okay? Especially in the African settings here. So no textbooks. They use only a worksheet, and then they do classwork, they do homework, but there is no scoring. There's no scoring at all. Okay, you just mark it, and you don't cancel. Just put double line under any one that did not go very well, and write the correction immediately. And then you write very good, awesome, you've done well, can do better, and things like that. Nothing like 0 to 5, over 5, and over 10. All right, and then since Wi-Fi is not at a school, all activities must be play-based. Play-based. Say it, at least it's general ideas for all the work. You can see what Ms. Nola said is just what I said now. Must be play-based. In fact, from what she said, play is children's work. So what are the major tasks of EYFS practitioners? When we say practitioners, we're talking about the teachers in there, as well as the caregivers and the minders. These are practitioners under EYFS. What are their work? Actually do is that one, they design play-based activities. Number two, they observe and record children's progress. Observe and record children's progress. Number three, they facilitate social development. Social development. They help children to grow in socializing, and also they also facilitate language development. Another thing that facilitators in the early years in EYFS do, they provide an emotionally secure environment. Emotionally secure because a child that is growing needs to be stabilized emotionally. Those are the major things that EYFS teachers do. I'm sure some of us, we're not hearing what we used to hear when we go for EYFS training, right? We are getting there. Which is Innocent, kindly confirm if I'm still audible, please.
You're audible, sir.
Thank you very much.
You're
Okay, so
very audible.
thank you very much. So now let's now go to the 4 pillars of EYFS. Some people call it principles of EYFS. Some people call it EYFS themes. They're made up of 4. So sorry.
No.
Okay, may I still go on? May I go on, please?
Yes, please.
Yes, please. Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. So the 4 pillars of EYFS, the first one is called the unique child. Some people they call it EYFS theme or EYFS the principles that drive early years foundation stage. There are 4 of them. The first one is the unique child. I'll throw more light on that one very soon. Second one is called positive leadership. The third one is called enabling environment. And the number 4 pillar or principle or theme is called learning and development. What do these mean? Let's go for the first one, the unique child. Unique child simply means that every child is a classroom. Every child is a classroom. Remember the Sterling Bank motto, one customer banking. That's just, maybe it's just from the EYFS. Unique child. Remember that I said before, the 4 pillars here. So the first one, we're treating the first one, it says every child is a classroom. It means that each child learns differently, and there's no competition between the children under the EYFS. A child competes with self. A child improves on self and competes with self. So some schools that some schools are talking about this one comes first, that one comes first. No child is coming first. A child improves on himself. You celebrate a child because he has improved upon himself, not because somebody else gets more than him. So it's unique. And if every child is a classroom, it therefore means that you prepare lesson plan and lesson delivery and lesson assessment per child different from the other child. Because in a classroom, what do? We prepare lessons for a classroom, we deliver lessons in the classroom, and we assess the classroom. So if you have 10 children in the classroom, you'll be preparing 10 lesson plans and 10 different deliveries and 10 assessments. Except only if there are children that tallies or that tallies in performance, can then combine them together to give them the same thing. But every child is a classroom, and he or she competes with self. Number 2 pillar or principle means that, which we call positive relationship, talks about, when a child is just growing between 0 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5, they are very mindful of who touches them, who carries them, who moves closer to them, who handles their things. And so if a child leaves the comfort of the mom and the dad and comes to your EYFS setting, one of the things that will make the child to learn is if the child is experiencing positivity around it. Not somebody opening eyes or somebody frowning or somebody shouting or somebody raking. No. So that positive relationship is a great catalyst under one of the 4 EYFS themes. And then there, a child looks for warmth, looks for a smile, a kind face, looks for an adult that is around him, either minder, caregiver, the cleaner, or the teacher, even the bus driver that is patient and understanding. When they bring all those their behaviors, and this person is very patient. They ask you questions that make sense, you answer. They ask you questions that doesn't make sense, you answer. You don't say, shut up, keep quiet. So we're worrying me. Stop, stop. Oh no. Patient when they're playing, patient when they're overplaying, and showing understand that they are still children. So positive relationship also means that every child thrives in love, care, as well as emotional the safety. So the teachers and everybody that is with the children, they have to model respect. That we're going to so we these three pillars, the first three pillars, the unique child, the positive leadership, the enabling environment, they are the ones that can only allow learning and development to take place. Please, somebody is please mute yourself. Thank you very much. So the unique child, understanding that the child is unique. That means the carer understands the child is unique. Number two, you give the child to experience positive relationship. Number three, you provide an enabling environment. Enabling environment is an environment that is beautiful. That is beautiful, that is ergonomic. Sorry, excuse me, sorry. Environment that is beautiful. The chairs, when I'm talking about ergonomics, I'm talking about the chairs of the children are not too high for their legs to be dangling in the air. Chairs are not too high to be touching their knees. So that's enough ergonomics. Also, the way the place is being arranged is easy for them to move around. Okay, that's an enabling environment. For you to put AC in a classroom it's not luxury. It's part of making a classroom to be enabling for the child. Okay, and now aesthetics is also a way of making the classroom. And that person should please mute himself or herself very much. So now, and also the place is well planned. All right. So everything from layout to lighting affect how a child think and feel. I've been to classrooms. I've been to some schools that the classroom of the children there are some ones that it is not that all that illuminated. All these things they inhibit and prevent learning and development of the child. You know, a child that is not having a friendly relationship with people around him will not learn. And a child that is not developed, that is not being supported, will hardly develop. Learning and development are the keyest thing under the EYFS setting. They are going there to learn and also going there to develop. Now, let's not go to the issue of learning and development. Learning and development, I say they are the keyest thing under is a let me go back. It's a product of the first three pillars. The child will learn and develop well. All right. Don't forget what I first said. They develop their mind and muscles. Remember that? Muscles to grip, muscles to hold, muscles to jump, muscles to walk, muscles to run, mind to copy note when you get to secondary school, sorry, primary school, secondary school, and university, because a child is well formed, fully formed between age 0 to 5. So the formative stage of a child is between 4 to 5 years old. Whatever thing the child is able to take in, absorb in, Mr. Mukam was talking about absorbing that time lasts the child a lifetime. So that's why EYFS section is very, 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 very important. So now let's now see learning and development is also broken into two. We have the areas that gives the children what to learn, and the areas that give children where to develop, what to learn, and which part of their body or lives will be developed. So these learning developments are broken into one, learning areas, two, development areas. You can see it on the screen. Sorry, is my screen still showing?
Yes, it is showing.
Thank you very much, sir. Now, when you hear people talking about EYFS,
Yes,
they will
sir.
say, thank you very much. They will say, oh, learning areas. It's not learning areas. It is learning and development areas, because learning at the EYFS level is not the same as development at the EYFS level. No, it's not. So now, then the learning areas, that is areas, pedagogical areas where they would learn. it has a synonym called specific areas. So you can call it learning areas, you can call it specific areas. Then the areas they need to develop is also called the prime areas. And from the English, specific areas and prime areas, prime means important. Prime means priority. Prime means prime, meaning that those areas are more important. They are of utmost importance. Now, and then the learning areas, what are the areas they are being made to learn? One, they learn reading, which some people call phonics, and they learn writing. Scribbling is writing, coloring is writing, filling in the gaps is writing, tracing is writing. All right. So don't forget I told you that since it's not a school, they don't do tests, they don't do exam. All right. I'll throw more light on that one later. However, they have report sheet. If you don't do test and exam, how do you have report sheet? Maybe I'll just say it now before I continue with the learning and development areas. Every day as they are playing, a teacher is recording. There is an observation sheet that is called progress trackers sheet. So progress tracking sheet or progress trackers. There are three types. There is daily trackers, weekly daily trackers. There is weekly trackers. There is also progress summary sheets. So daily trackers, as they are learning each of these areas of learning and development, the teacher will be taking the spaces inside the progress trackers or progress tracker sheets. So for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, for each of the covering each of these learning and development areas, and at the end of the week, and then when taking it, I told you before that there is no scoring. There are only three forms of grading. We have there is expected grading. So there is three E's. There are three E's. Emerging is a grading, expected is a grading, exceeding is a grading. If a child does not perform the way you want him to perform in that activity or in that play, because you grade play too, or in that scribbling or coloring or filling the gap or pronouncing words or segmenting or whatever thing at all, okay, or blending does not meet up, you give the you put emerging on the progress trackers during that period, within that day, during that week. If the child gets just what you want him to get, or the child demonstrates the level of expertise or level of understanding that you want him to understand, you put. I'm talking about the progress sheets now, progress trackers now, how to use it. There are templates for it anyway. So you put expected, means the child is getting it or showing that the way I expect the child to be, and then if the child is performing more than you expect, then you put the third grading, which is called exceeding. So we have emerging, we have expected, we have emerging, exceeding. There are three gradings. There's nothing like 5/5, nothing like 10/10, nothing like percentage. So everything you observe about the child and document in the progress tracking, progress and tracking tracker sheets, you aggregate it at the end of the week and then send it to parents every weekend. So parents receive progress tracker sheets every weekend to see how the child has fared in each of these development areas. Then for the timely trackers, everything for each week one, you transfer the whole of the aggregate average of week one into the week one of timely. End of week two, that transfer it until the whole week of the term is filled up. So their examinations, their tests, their assessment is daily as they play, as they interact, as they scribble, as they fill in the gap, as they're doing a classwork, as they're doing an activity. That is their own exams and tests, nothing like midterm test, nothing like a termly exam. They have got the exam result before the term ends. So now back to the learning areas. Learning areas they look like subjects. So we have their reading and writing. Those ones are combined and they're called literacy. They are the number work, measurements, measure space, and shapes. Those are combined as mathematics. Then we have technology and understanding, which is combined and called knowledge and understanding the world. The fourth thing, under the learning areas is expressive art and design. Those are the four pedagogical experiences we have that looks like what they will experience, okay, when they get to primary school and secondary school. Now, under the development areas, what we have there, we have physical development, we have physical development and cognition. That one is the primary area is called physical development, PD. Then the second one is called communication and language. That's where you show them how to understand things and comprehend what you're saying and things like that. The other one is called PSED, personal, social, and emotional development. What they learn there is social growth and emotional growth. So those are three areas: PD, physical development; C and L, communication and language; and then PSED. So these three prime areas and four specific areas, they come together and they form what is called learning development areas, which looks like the subject children learn in the EYFS. So now, of the two I've told you before, the one that is supreme to the other is the prime areas, because it precedes the specific areas, because a child must develop first before he can learn actively. A child must develop first before he can learn actively. So, lastly, I believe this is the last slide. We are learning. So EYFS is where learning begins naturally, but it's not a school, and plays the highest form of research according to Albert Einstein. So in EYFS, we are an EYFS teacher, encourage holistic, total, complete, play-based, child-centered learning. That was what you encourage and establish in your setting. Make sure you're building children that are emotionally secure, intellectually curious children. Thank you very much. God bless. I'm done, please.
Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Olafa. Thank you so much for this very enlightening section. And before we go to questions, I would still want to go through some of my take home. And I know some of you have your take home from the trainings, where he emphasized, and when he was teaching, he was putting emphasis on some saying things. Take this seriously, where he said that the EYFS prepares the mind and the muzzle of the child before school starts. You get where he said it's totally play based. He talked about the 4 pillars, and the one that really intrigued me most was the progress tracker, the expected, the emerging, and the exceeding. Thank you so much. It was an eye opener. I never really knew that, the child can be in the school writing and the child will not take exams. Thank you so much, sir. So if there are questions, you can drop it on the chat as the expected, the emerging, and the exceeding.
Expected.
Now, if there are questions, you can drop on the chat box. Let me.
Expecting.
Mrs. Innocent, good evening, ma'am. Good evening, Mrs. Innocent.
Good evening, madam. Good evening.
Good evening, ma. Good evening, ma. I can hear you. You want to ask a question?
There are questions on the chat box. Please access them.
Okay.
People are asking questions there. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Somebody asked.
Beautiful.
Somebody asked, so what are the differences in these three methods of education pedagogy? So I don't know.
Call someone to respond. Call in a voice to respond. Can call Mrs. Sonola.
Okay, Dr. Dedamula, can you just respond to that, please? What
Please
are
call
the...
Mrs. Sonola to respond. Thank you.
Okay, Mrs. Sonola, over to you. What are the differences in these three methods of education pedagogy?
Adedamola is pushing it to me. Okay, that's all right. Now, number one, I will start with similarity. The fact that the child is the focus. The three are child focused. But for the Montessori, the resources are structured, unlike the HighScope or the EYFS, where you can use open-ended materials, free and found materials. Then, in the setup of the learning environment, I know that Montessori, they set their own up in a particular way, you know. But then, with the HighScope, we also set our own learning environment. We have the block area, we have the toy area, we have the water area, but we label every item on the areas. We put the diagram to put the shape, and we encourage the children to have access direct to those learning centers so that the children are independent enough. They can plan, when it is plan, do, review segment, the children can say, I want to go to the block area. I want to play with the blocks. I want to build a bridge. And that is where we start supporting their language, their critical thinking. But then, that is where also we have the opportunity to extend and scaffold their learning. With the Montessori, there is a fixed period, and I would like the first speaker to also help, because that is his field. Yeah. I don't think I should be the one saying that, but then I'm just trying to say that with Montessori, there's a fixed period to teach the sensorial aspect. But in the HighScope, the sensorial is every segment because the children are interacting with the material. So I think that's the little I can say for now. Thank you.
Okay, can I contribute, please?
Go on, sir.
Okay, right. Well, thank you very much, Mrs. Sonola. I would like to add that despite the fact that in the Montessori environment, the environment is structured, but at the same time, if it is a vertical age grouping, which is mixed age grouping, we have children between the ages of 2 to 6 years working in the same environment, but they find themselves interacting with different curriculum areas according to their age grade. So based on that, we're not going to have just maybe the same set of children working with sensorial curriculum area. No, we have children working with different curriculum areas. Some may be working with practical life exercises depending on their age of development, while some are interacting with sensorial materials, some are interacting with language and cultural subject materials. Some are doing mathematics. So that's the way it is. And specifically in Montessori environment, we follow the child. Follow the child means if the child is not ready, the material is not introduced to the child. When the child is ready, then we move on in the presentation. So you could see a child of 3 years that have started to begin to write, they're doing a lot of scribbling. Some may not be ready until they are 3.5 years old. And that is the way it is. But they work collaboratively, they learn a lot of things from each other, and that is the vertical age grouping that we are talking about. I want to also align with what Dr. Olofa said about examination. Dr. Montessori does not recognize exams for preschoolers. It says that competition is not acceptable until after 6 years, when the child gets to primary school. That is when competition is encouraged, and that's where they can actually write exams. But there are exceptions. Each child in the Montessori environment has what we call record cards. And at the end of each day, the Montessori director or directress write what the child has achieved. And that's how they move on progressively. Thank you.
Okay, let me now come in also as well. Okay, now, please, I want everybody that is in this session to note that this session is not it's not a debating session. It's a session whereby we all come together to give choices under the early years to educators. And now, if you check very well, the principles are the same, but the origins are different. Now, it is just that everybody looks at one thing, and then everybody sees different things. It is called perspectives. So now, if people go to market now, and then somebody and the 3 or 4 people go to a boutique where clothes are sold, they will choose different things that are there. Not because one is not good or one is substandard in the same boutique. It's just the kind of what appeals to you, what you say, this one, I love this one. Preferential treatments that you're going to have. Now, so based on that, this session is brought to us for us to understand the 3 of them. And so which one do I love more? Or which one will be easy for me the more? Thank God that everybody that has spoken tonight, we've spoken from the angles of pros and cons as well as the strengths of each of the pedagogy, right? So it is not they all share, as I said before, they all share common principle with little differences here and there. They are all super packages, super frameworks, the 3 of them. Now, regarding the question, under the EYFS, there are 2 ways a child learning can introduce to the child, just like in Montessori and also in HighScope that we've spoken. The first one is called child-initiated learning. Child-initiated learning is the first one, the way a child can learn. The second one is tutor-led. So we have child-initiated learning. We also have tutor-led. So those are the 2 ways that a child can learn under EYFS. And for materials, everything around a child, there are some materials, there are specific materials, but they are not fixed materials. If you have them, you use them. If you don't have them, any material around that can improvise for it will be used for either mathematics or literacy or writing or knowledge on understanding the world or PSED or creative art or especially art and design. These are the subjects like from there. So that is the difference there. No fixed material, but there are materials that are common, learning materials that are common to EYFS, but they are not at all fixed. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, Ma. Thank you, sirs. Then there's a question here, and Dr. Adedamola will be directing this question back to you. It says, "Hello, I'm teaching in the kindergarten. I'm teaching the kindergarten learners in Saudi Arabia, and the major problem is the classroom control. The learners are too difficult to control, but they obey other teachers. So what do you think I can do?"
All right. I saw that question when the training was ongoing. So I can sense something more or less like, I'm sorry to say this, it looks more or less like the children have been given orientation on racial discrimination. It should be the color of the skin of that teacher that is making
Yes.
children not to listen to her. Now, it is not at all a problem. It's not at all a problem. Now, A gorilla or a monkey can win the love of a little child, despite the fact that it looks somehow not at all beautiful. So it is that teacher that will now have to go and learn 21st century approach to classroom control. You need to learn it. One of them is understanding what's called the principle of 3 Fs. Be friendly with the children, be fair with the children, but be firm with the children. Be friendly, be fair, but firm. Now, if you are afraid of the children because they are children of the rich, you won't be able to become firm and they won't be able to respect you. Now, if you also have among them favorites and one are not favorite, then you're not being fair. They won't respect you. If also you're afraid of them, you're not friendly with them, they don't see a smiling face because to them that are white, they think we are monkeys. But if a monkey can flash a smile and the smile are not like the teeth of like the teeth of a gorilla, so this one to look like a human being. Oh. So you are the one to make them to become. First of all, that principle of 3 Fs, you must understand it. Be friendly with them, be fair with them, but know when to draw a line of don't cross with them. Don't be afraid of your children. So far, you will not harass them. You will not be harsh to them. Learn to put your feet on ground. They will respect you. If a teacher is friendly and a teacher is fair, but it's not firm, no child in the classroom will listen to you. That's number one. Principle of 3 Fs. Honor that one. Number two, put down ground rules. At the beginning of every term, for new batch of children that are coming to your class, and even now it's not too late. Let you and the children sit down together and come up with ground rules. Let them make the rules, not you making the rules for them. It is okay for anyone who talks without being called. What do we do? For anyone who goes to the toilet three times in one period, what do we do? For a child that is moving about, so they will mention the typical misconduct. They also suggest typical what penalty for them. Then don't make more than 5, 3, 4, 5. If you go to Pinterest, you're going to see some ground rules that you can use as your template. So after they have all behaved like the House of Assembly or House of Senate, and you come up with misconduct and also possible penalty for it, then write it down big and bold, well designed. Go to Pinterest, you're going to see designs there, and paste it right in front of the class for everybody to look and see. Once you have ground rules, okay, which you must enforce under the 3 Fs, firmness, you must enforce. Anyone that crosses it, you enforce it. I'm not saying beat or punish, just do's and don'ts. Children, they are good, when they know this is the do's, these are the don'ts, okay? Do you know what I'm saying now? So if you use those two, it's going to help you. I don't know whether Mrs. Funola or Mr. Ogunkambi has something to add to that one under classroom control. Thank you.
Okay,
All right.
can I say something?
Okay.
Yes, you are right, Dr. Adedamula, about the cultural differences, which might pose a problem. But there have been other teachers who are maybe Nigerians or others that are still found their teaching to be interesting. The other possibility could be the physical environment might not be too conducive and interesting or engaging for the children. This is part of what we consider. We are intentional about setting up the environment. One of the issues, an example was when I was training the first set of teachers for the HighScope implementation course in 2008 or so. And in this eyebrow school, when they were going to do the learning environment, which is one of the models, an active learning environment, a teacher intentionally changed the materials in our classrooms, had the home corner and some other things. She discovered that after school, majority of the children in other classes would always rush to our class, and they would prefer to stay in that class and play until their parents come for them. What was different? It was the resources, the opportunity for children. So she might have to look at a learning environment and then to encourage the children, right? Of course, the classroom rules is also a good thing. She should build good a relationship with the children and establish clear routines, use positive language, And our lesson plan must be engaging. Starting from the introduction, how do you inspire the children? Even in workshops that we run, we start with something active and engaging for older participants, let alone the young children. So it's important that she looks at our lesson delivery, our disposition, our language, and the classroom environment. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. Can I just take maybe 1 minute to add to what my other presenters have said? All those ideas are germane and they are very, very correct. I want to add also the fact that if you are working outside of Nigeria, the first thing one need to look at is to change one's perspective. It could be a kind of mindset. You need to examine yourself. Are you the one coming from a background where you believe that a child has to be punished or a child just has to be disciplined? If anyone comes from that background that until you use cane or you smack a child, the child will not respect you, then that's a problem. So you will need to first of all learn to having kind of open mindset and says, okay, I need to learn more on how to interact with children from diverse environments. So if that class is a Montessori environment, either vertical grouping or adapted, I would also recommend that there should be resources. A very good example is what Mrs. Oyindamola Sunara have just mentioned. When there are resources, it could be just a few Montessori materials if it is acceptable, the management can purchase that. Once children are engaged and they have materials to work with, disciplinary issues will be limited. It will be limited. So as an individual, look at yourself. And if you check the practical life exercises, especially the first area, which talks about preliminary activities, there are a lot of things that can be used to teach the children to set ground rules, like what Dr. Olofa has just said. How to walk in class, how to talk in class, relationship, how to carry chairs, washing of your hands when you use the bathroom, interaction together, having a circle time with them in the morning, do a lot of play activities, show empathy, play with them, smile and laugh with them. If all of these are used, I think you are going to have better control of the classroom and they will respect you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Abraham. The next question, I'll be directing the next question to Mrs. Oyindamola. He said, can we get, how can the HighScope program incorporate assessment? How does a HighScope program incorporate assessment?
Okay. I mentioned the key developmental indicators, which is a major aspect of our assessment tool, to observe the children, to monitor their progress, and then to plan your lessons again, because your planning of your lessons is based on the children's interests and abilities, just like Dr. Olowe mentioned. So the HighScope teacher is very observant and is trained to identify the developmental milestones, what is going on in the child, and that based on the KDI, you are able to support the child. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much, ma'am. Please, the last question we might be taking for today. I'm directing it to Mr. Abraham, where somebody asked, he said, can the three approaches be combined simultaneously? Is it possible to combine all the three approaches together? Is it possible?
All the three approaches, they have similar characteristics, as the case may be. So it all depends. I know quite a number of schools that I consult for they practice early years curriculum, early years foundation curriculum, and at the same time, they have a little bit of adapted Montessori curriculum embedded in it. Well, it is possible. I think it is possible. But the most important thing is we must get to understand what we want to do and we want children to achieve significantly. But I love one thing from all the 3 curriculum areas that we have established and we have looked at this evening, that examination is not important, especially from children between the ages of 0 and 6 years. They must allow them to play a lot. You must allow them to explore, touch materials, think creatively, and it will inspire their curiosity. So that's what I think I want to say now. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. Wow. We have gradually come to the end of this section for today. I want to say a very big thank you to our 3 presenters, Mr. Abraham, Mrs. Oyindamola, Dr. Olofa, for sharing your expertise with us today. Thank you so much. And also, I want to thank every educator that was present. I am really thrilled by our zeal for personal growth. We had almost, I think, about 100 participants. Thank you so much for making out time for personal growth. In a summary, I would want to just say 1 or 2 things, that just like Dr. Adedamola said, you know, the 3 curriculum where they were asking the difference